It is the pinnacle of all discussions. A very good morning to you and welcome to the platform. I am Chioma Nkwanta. Abia State Governor Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu yesterday assented to the revised Abia State 2020 budget of 102 billion 660 million 432,904 naira only, recently passed by the Abia State House of Assembly. Speaking after signing the revised budget at the banquet hall of the Government House, Umuahia, during the event, which also coincided with the welcome visit to the governor by members of the State House of Assembly, Governor Okezie Ikpeazu thanked them for the expeditious passage of the revised budget. He stated that Abia State is like other states across the Federation facing economic stress as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And he added that the present economic realities actually calls for all hands to be on deck in securing the social economic future of the state. Now, the governor further highlighted some of the measures taken by his administration to mitigate the economic effect of the pandemic, with emphasis on improvements in agriculture and industrial production. Across Nigeria, various states have equally revised their estimates to reflect the present economic reality. The National Assembly also revised the 2020 appropriation bill, and COVID-19 also has multiple impact on available income for different tiers of government. Well, this morning on the platform, we want to evaluate how states are adjusting to the normal. How can states shore up its internally generated revenue in the midst of the pandemic? And a civil society activist, Sam Ekuribe, will be joining us via phone from Aba. And later on, we shall link up with the Chief Press Secretary to the Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Chief Jude Ndukwe, as we x-ray some legislative interventions to support the state governments within this era. And joining us right now via phone is a civil society activist, Sam Ekuribe. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Okay.
In this time, in this era, COVID-19 era, it actually dictates that states adjust their estimates to remain afloat. But do you think that there are other strategies that can be used to save the situation?
Well, for the government and for the individuals, I think for our government, they are taking the right steps in the right directions, and they are being innovative at this time. Let me remind you that the Abia State government has just announced palliatives and tax reliefs for citizens, especially artisans and small-scale businesses in the state. I think this will go a long way to encourage, to help them mop up the needed funds at this time. It is an innovative strategy, and it will also help our citizens reduce the burden on them, so that they because at this time things are going slowly, and so there's need for palliative on all ends.
Okay, so looking at the budget and the amounts in question, and also looking at the different components of the budget, which area should be cut down to you?
Well, if you look at the federal government, 2 weeks ago, the President Buhari approved, signed in a new and amended budget of 10.8 trillion, and that reflected exactly 40% of costs from the initial budget approved. And graciously this week, Abia State government has followed suit, reducing our signing up a new budget of 102 billion. That is exactly 24% reduction from the initial 134 billion that we have.
Okay.
And a little breakdown into that, we have a capital expenditure 55 billion, and current expenditure is 47 billion. Okay. I think that is the right way to go. The governor of Abia State and his team, they're demonstrating some level of capacity, because we should focus on what will give us income at this time. We as civil society have always been shouting, let's not be waiting every month for allocation. Let's think, what can we do for ourselves? What can we produce for ourselves? And I am happy that at the signing of the amended budget yesterday or so, the governor specifically said that this is to help Abia reduce economic stress and improve in agriculture and also scale up industrial production, which is what Abia is known for. So even as he has said it, for me, it is a step in the right direction.
Okay. Well, the governor made mention of improvements in agricultural industrial production. What's your take on that?
Well, it is my hope that it will not be lip service that they are paying. For example, this is a time when we should rally and ask ourselves, what are the low-hanging fruits? What can we do to help to improve ourselves? Every community, can we set up palm settlements, or everybody should be planting palm now? Cassava should be provided as input. What can our government do to encourage farmers at this time? Give them free input. If the state government invests 1-2 billion to people to help them farm, the output will be more than 6 billion, and it will help us. If you notice the trend, all states and even the federal government, everybody is trying to invest where they have comparative advantage. Also in Aba, which is the commercial capital in Abia State, there's really need to see a way to help beyond the tax relief, which really I want to read in between the lines. Okay. What they basically did is they said, if you are owing for 3 years, come and pay. I will give you discount of 50%. That, even though they said it is a tax incentive, it is palliative, but truly they are trying to mop up cash. If they are now thinking outside the box, oh, we have people that have been owing us 3 years, they have not been paying us. How can we get them to pay now so we have money? They are no longer waiting for allocation. This is what it is. They need to also look at how can we make sustainable input? How can we help these people? Can we have a bank, a small microfinance bank that can fund people in Aba and help them so that they can access funds easily? Recently, the central bank under the federal government disbursed funds without all the usual hassles and all that. We can tackle this kind of initiative down locally within the state, so that if you do not tax poverty, what you tax is prosperity and wealth. If citizens in Abia State are doing well, it means the government will have a lot of people to pay tax, and they will have money at their disposal to do a lot of things. Okay. I'm happy they are thinking along that line, then let them follow it up with action.
All right. So looking at the budget and the assenting of the budget, to the layman on the street, what impacts does it have on him?
Well, to the layman on the street, it means everybody, all of us, if we had a budget, a personal budget this year that we are going to make 500,000 and we are going to spend 400,000, the layman on the street should also tighten his belt. If federal government has reduced everything they are planning by 40% and state has reduced all theirs by 25%, the layman should also reduce his own by at least 50%. If you were eating chicken every week, maybe the layman should also cut down on expenditure, things that are not necessary. At this time, what anybody should be spending is either things that are productive, things that will give him more money. People should work a little bit more harder. That is what it means. It tells us that our economy is not too good. It's not jiving. And so whatever we should do as individuals, let us learn from the government. Let's tighten up. Let's work harder. Let's look for more opportunities. This is the time when where is the government looking at? Government is looking at agriculture. Okay. Most areas are going down at this time, are affected, especially things that are being imported. But you notice that children are at home. People must eat 3 times a day. So whatever you are doing, if your business is not moving, ask yourself, people must eat. What can I provide? What can I get involved in? Even if it's bonds, the layman can, when things go well, you can go back to your business. They go into farming, go into agro processing, go into small scale production. No matter, even if it's to say, bring chin, fry it, and seal it and sell to the public. You are an entrepreneur, and you are raking in the small money that helps the economy to run. That is what is expected of every citizen at this time.
Okay.
How to move into production, the areas where government is focusing on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And another area of concern is the cost of governance. Don't you think the government also need to cut down on this?
Okay, thank you very much. The call has been there about reducing the cost of governance, and honestly, we need it. We need it. Our senators and our legislative arm of government made the first overtures earlier on during the pandemic by saying, okay, we are proposing a certain level of our salaries. But I can't say specifically if executives in Abia State government have made such overtures. But beyond that, there is need for something more permanent. Not just saying I forfeit 2 months or 3 months of salary. I believe Abia State, if we have cut down 25% of our budget, can we also cut down, especially for executives, 25% of salaries and allowances? Last week, Ebonyi State Governor sacked 1,800 aides that he had. Political appointees, all these special assistants to the governor on this and on that. And he told them, it is subject to renewal. If you want to come and I will re-employ you, you will show evidence of your farm, where you are farming, where you are producing. Okay. That is pointing them, the citizens of the state, to where the state is moving. You know, they say, where belly face, now where leg the waka go. If the government is facing, the government is saying, we are reducing our costs, we are sacking unnecessary staff, let us help them to go and farm. Let us push people. The body language of the government will be translated and it will trickle down to everybody. So we are hoping the Abia State government, the executive, will take such initiatives in the coming. I know the governor is doing well, and I am expecting that in no time we will hear things along that line.
Okay, thank you. So what's your advice to the government how can they actually show up their internally generated revenue in the midst of the whole pandemic?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the Honorable Commissioner of Finance, Dr. Ahamu Uko, in Abia State, is already doing well. He has, I know the gentleman from NDDC and from his days in banking. He is a thoroughbred professional. And the new incentives which they have given is also well thought out, because they are saying if you are owing 2 years of receipt, then let's put it down. If you're going to do transaction to pay rent now in Abia State, you have to pay duty stamp of 6% and all that. These are all avenues. So it's clear to me that they already know. But then beyond that, I will also encourage the Abia State government to review and consider adding technology to the collection process, to the revenue collection process in the state. Okay. Because we lose more through corruption. When you see a group of touts, you going in a vehicle, catching people, whatever they collect, how are you sure they account very well to the government? So government lose a lot through that. And I also expect the Abia State House of Assembly to look into this style of selling a revenue collection to agents or to people. You sell it 10 million and those people go out there and they collect 150 million. Those are loopholes that the state government should plug. Okay. This state is very, very viable. There are states that you say they can't generate anything. If Abia State gets their taxes, their revenue generation right, and how they collect it, the state will not need to run to Abuja to look for funds. So I'm encouraging them, let them look towards technology. They can introduce technology so that when people pay, it prints out, nothing. South will not be a big part of the process. And it will enhance the confidence of citizens. When people know that what they are contributing will get to the government and it will be used properly, then they will not be running away from paying those taxes.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the platform.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we just got off the phone with a civil society activist, Sam Ekuribe, joining us all the way from Aba, discussing the budget, the way forward, and ways that the states can show up its internally generated revenue in the midst of the pandemic. Well, this is the platform, like we say, the pinnacle of all discussions. Joining us right now via phone is the Chief Press Secretary to the Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly, Chief Jude Ndukwe. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Abians.
Thank you for joining us this morning on the platform.
And thank you for having me too.
All right, straight to it. Let's look at the post-COVID-19 session of the State Assembly. Can you tell us some of the legislative interventions or maybe laws by the House to assist the executive to manage the impact of the pandemic?
Well, thank you very much. Several of them actually, despite the shortness of time, and that shows the commitment and the sacrificial dedication of the members of the Abia House of Assembly under the speakership of Right Honorable Chinedime Yinaya Oji. The most significant of them all is actually the recently passed and assented revised budget of 2020 of the state. You will recall the fact that the governor actually mentioned that the economic realities dictate that we have a revised budget. And that budget was actually presented, the letter from the executive was presented in the House on Monday. And the House decided to give it accelerated hearing. They had sleepless nights working on the revised budget. And by Wednesday, the budget was passed. That shows that the House actually committed to helping the executive to succeed.
Okay.
The budget was 102,660,432,904 naira. And because without this budget, there was no way the executive would have continued governance. And the House realized this. It's an emergency situation. We're in a situation where everything abnormal has become normal. And then so it is now the normal abnormal for the House to actually spend sleepless nights, to ensure that this budget was actually passed. And then now, of course, everybody is happy. The revised budget has been passed. Not only in Abia, we have several states that have also done the same thing. The federal government also did the same thing some time ago. And then we are having our own now. So governors can continue. Kudos to the executive, kudos to the lawmakers.
Okay, so what are the some of the legislative interventions that to assist the executive to manage the impact of the pandemic made by the House?
Yeah, first and foremost, individually, you will recall that a lot of the assembly members actually embarked on individual empowerment programs for people. They embarked on individual palliative provision for members of their constituency, and this has gone a long way in helping them. For example, you have Honorable Ginger Monsibe, who provided buses as empowerment programs. A lot of them actually provided cash. A lot of them provided other food items as palliatives to go a long way in helping the people. And then when it also comes to the House as a whole, the House has also done well to intervene to ensure that governance continue. For example, we cannot gloss over the fact that the House had to renew the tenure of the local government TC chairman. This is to also ensure that there is no lacuna in governance, especially at that level. So the House actually realized this, and then once the letter came, the candidates were screened and the appointments were confirmed, so that the people will not have to suffer any vacuum in leadership, especially at that level. So these are some of the interventions, both individually, and collectively as a house that the assembly actually embarked on to assist the governor, and the executive in carrying out dividends of democracy to the people.
Okay. So the governor highlighted.
Okay.
The governor highlighted some of his measures that his administration had actually taken to mitigate the economic effects of the pandemic. Do you know whether lawmakers at any point waived some of their entitlements to contribute to the process?
Well, I don't have that information right now, but I can assure you that the lawmakers actually made very deep sacrifice, in also ensuring that, their people are carried along, that their people are not left behind. And I want to also assure you that there is no spending, whether on palliative or otherwise, that the executive embarked on that would not have been approved, in the budget by the lawmakers for such purposes. And then also the issue of agriculture. The issue of agriculture. I want to also assure you that several steps were also taken by the lawmakers to ensure that the people also, get themselves busy, especially in this time that they were not going out. For example, some lawmakers actually empowered their people, with agricultural inputs, agricultural equipment. I can assure you that Honorable Philip Okeigwe, embarked on that among, other lawmakers. So the lawmakers actually dip their hands deeply into their pockets, and then also ensure that, people, they complement what the governor, the executive has been doing in terms of, empowering the people and in terms of improving the economy and not letting the economy, go down at this particular point in time that we're having the COVID-19 to battle with.
All right, so you don't know, to the best of your knowledge, if the lawmakers at any point waived any of their entitlements to contribute to the process of the budget and every other thing?
I don't have that information right now.
Okay.
I don't have that information right now. But all I can assure you, what I have right now at the tip of my fingers is the fact that the lawmakers made enormous sacrifice. For example, you may have a lawmaker waiving 5%, 10% of his entitlement and not doing anything directly for the people. You get my point now. Then you have some lawmakers who waive their entitlement by doing a lot for the people in terms of providing them with equipment, empowerment, and also palliatives. So one way or the other, the lawmakers actually, waive their entitlements one way or the other, either directly or indirectly, and all these actually go to the people, which is the reason why they are, of course, in governance.
All right. So away from the waivers and all of that, the governor, while signing the revised budget yesterday, commended the lawmakers for their swiftness in getting the document ready. That brings us to the question of the type of relationship that exists among the two tiers of government.
The relationship between the two tiers of government, the strength has never been in doubt. Right from day one, this legislative arm of government, ably led by the Speaker, Right Honorable Chinedu Eina Oji, is totally, absolutely, completely, perfectly committed to the success of Governor Okezie Ikpeazu-led administration. And that was why this budget, especially, like I said earlier on, was given accelerated consideration so that governance is not stalled or stopped. And then you also discover that even when the issue of TC chairman's tenure expedition came up, they also waded in and went ahead to confirm them as presented by the executive. And then let me also tell you that just this week, that was on Monday, the House recommended that ABROMA, Ada State Road Maintenance Agency, should move immediately and start palliative work on a federal road, the Isikwato Uzuakoli or Hafia Road, which is giving motorists hard times. And I can assure you that after today, ABROMA has moved to that side. What does that tell you? That tells you that this is a government, whether executive or legislative, that is working in tandem, in synergy, to provide good governance, democratic dividends for the people. So there is no difference at all, and they are working internally, they are working hand in hand. Of course, you saw them yesterday when they went to visit the governor to pay him a solidarity visit, and welcome him back to the state after, recovering from his illness. And that shows camaraderie, that shows good neighborliness, that shows brotherhood in governance. And that is exactly what the governor meant when he said that the healthy relationship between the executive and the legislative arm of government has given Abia State the niche of political stability and peace. In fact, he said Abia State is the most peaceful and politically stable state in Nigeria. And he attributed that to his perfect relationship with the executive, with the legislative arm of government. Nothing can be better, and we just know that Abia State is better for it. And I can assure you, if you look at other states, they have issues. I don't want to talk about them, but they have issues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states have issues, and you can see how those issues affect governance in those states. But we thank God that we have a governor, we have a speaker, we have an ESCO, and we have a legislative arm that understand each other. That know that they are not there for themselves, and everybody has put his ego in his bag. Everybody has put his or her pride in his bag, because they know that they are there to work and to serve Abians, and that nothing should come, against that vision. And that is exactly what is happening. And that is exactly why we are seeing the progress being made, the fixing of issues as they come up.
Right. So before I let you go, are there laws in Abia State to support the SMEs?
Yes, there are laws to support the SME, and I'm also aware that there is, for example, it might not just be SME directly, but there are laws also supporting SMEs directly or indirectly. For example, there is the consumer protection law that I know that they are trying to pass. It's called the Abia State Consumer Protection Agency, and that is House of Assembly Bill number 6. They are working on that to protect consumers, and they also passed recently the Abia State Marketing and Quality Management Agency law. Okay. That law is also very vital, in ensuring that our SMEs, our entrepreneurs are protected, from undue and unfair competitions, and that they are also patronized, and that they also, churn out quality goods, so that Abia remains, the Japan of Africa, like we have always been known for. Right. So these are the laws that, we emanated from the House to ensure that SMEs are protected. Okay. So the assembly is actually on course.
All right. Thank you so much, Chief Jude Ndukwe, for joining us this morning on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
This is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions. We just got off the phone with the Chief Press Secretary to the Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly, Jude Ndukwe, and we also spoke to a civil society activist, Sam Ekuribe, today, looking at the revised budget and everything that has to do with the Abia State budget. Right now it's time for us to feel your polls. We are looking this morning on the platform. We're evaluating how states are adjusting to the normal, how states can show up its internally generated revenue in the midst of the pandemic. The numbers to call to get your contributions: 0808-1826-949 or 0811-6052-949. You can also send SMSs to 0906 510 8289. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chairman.
Good morning to you.
It's Alvan. I'm calling you from Bengal.
Alvan, thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, I must commend your guests. They have spoken extensively, and their submissions are very much in order. I must commend the state government, of course, the legislative arm of the government, for the synergy existing between them. Just like what the EPS to the speaker said, I think this is contributing to the peace and infrastructural development we are witnessing in Abia State. But I think it's going to be a collective responsibility for us to manage this period. It's a global thing. It's not only peculiar in Abia State. The way forward seems to be agriculture, just like Sam Ekuribe said. Even the wife of the governor is championing a campaign, Akajaja, And I must commend that the state governor also, because he started planning this. Agriculture is one of the pillars of the government. Of course, it has been introduced since morning that Abia is now self-sufficient in rice production. These are some of the things that we have to do, and our youth has, all of us must get ourselves involved in agricultural production so that we'll be able to produce what we need. And the good thing about it is that there is market with this marketing agency. Of course, the governor started the promotion of made in Abagu, so it really helps. So we must join hands to sustain this.
All right, Alvan. Thank you. You too. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you. Please turn down the volume on your radio.
Okay. My name is Uche Abu. I'm calling from Omaya here.
Uche, you're welcome.
Yeah, please, I want to commend the speaker who is assisting the speaker of the State Assembly. Honestly, I don't know him from Adam. I'm from Enugu State, and I know he's from Abia. The guy spoke very, very well. How I wish his words that the state government will follow the action of his words. But I still want to remind him that he forgot to mention this Ikote Bene route. That's the Hikobe Ahike axis. So I enjoy the guy's ways of words, and I believe that his words will turn into actions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hello, good morning. This is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions. This morning, we are evaluating how states are adjusting to the normal and how states can actually show up its internally generated revenue in the midst of the pandemic. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Shoma.
Good morning to you.
George, I'm calling from Alabama.
You're welcome. What's your contribution?
George, I want to give information. See, if you go to Itigate right now, they are giving tickets to tricycle drivers. I don't know, but I heard that the state government gave a waive that nobody should be paying tax anymore. But where are all this money going to?
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Go there now. You can send one of your colleagues there. You see what I'm telling you. From morning till night, they're selling tickets every day, Yes, they will tell us that they are giving a waiver of not paying of tax in other states. Please, they should look into it. Not come and be deceiving us on what we don't know about. Thank you.
All right, thank you. It will be looked into. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my sister. Yes, I just want to say something as regards to small and medium enterprise. That is one of the reasons why Government also gave a tax waiver on most of us who are into small and medium enterprise to help us survive on this COVID-19 era. Yes, it's the government that has focus. That is one thing I've been able to understand in this government. Things may not be the way they ought to be, but certainly, Abia State government, heavily led by Governor Kezipazo, has really moved Abia State beyond where we used to see it earlier before now. Remember, he said on his broadcast here today that if you go to Abaro, from that Abaro to Isikot, from Isikot down to Obakala Afibe, if you go there and see the level of work that is being done there, you know indeed that this government is world focused to give India the best. Yes, I want to use this opportunity to ask all our teaming youth in Abia State, go back to agriculture. I was surprised Governor Kezipazo reminding us again that Abia State, when it comes to rice production, has become the highest
Please wrap up your thoughts.
Yes, in the whole of Nigeria. So let our teaming youth go back to agriculture, and at the same time, I want to thank him because giving us tax waiver, we that are in small and medium enterprise, has really helped us. Waiving some certain number of months from the amount we are all to pay has given us succor to bounce back again in business.
All right. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning to you. What's your name?
My name is Chimeze. I'm calling from
Chimeze, can you speak up? Thank you.
Choma, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's one thing to make a law and it's another thing to implement it. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
This they are 100 and something of a reverse budget they are talking about, blah blah blah. It's one thing to say and it's another thing to implement it. They should not come on air and be telling us they have do this, they have do that. Let them implement it.
Okay.
Look at their line. Let them also remember those people. They are human beings. They are not robots. They are owing them 25 months of salary to go to ask other parastatals. You will cry. Please, they should remember those people. Please.
All right. Thank you. Hello. All right, this is the platform, and we have come to the end of today's discussion. This is the last edition of the platform for this week. Hopefully, on Monday, another edition will return. I am Chioma Nkwanta. Special thanks to Jude Ndukwe, Chief Press Secretary to the Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly. Special thanks to Sam Ekuribe, a civil society activist, for joining us on the program this morning. And special thanks to the producer, Samson Eze. Do have yourself a very lovely day.